can I ask like what drove you to like I guess depression during that time? Like is there a certain incident that happened or is it just regular high school pressures life?
Well, I had lost one of my closest friends to suicide.
So that
Yeah,
that started it?
that started it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was rough, but and it was constantly like, oh, what if I could have done this? Like I didn't do that. Like maybe if I was there more, it wouldn't have happened. Like it's very common and it's very always like, what if? And that's always the hard part is like, what if I could have done more? And it's a lot of pressure. And so eventually that just drove me down, like dragged me down. And I started to struggle a lot with suicidal ideation in grade 10. And I stopped going to school. I couldn't get out of bed. Um, and so I eventually had to go to emergency. And then I was put on meds. And then during that whole entire time, that's when like the online stuff started to happen too. It was like when I stopped going to school in grade 10 and like being not being able to like just struggling to get out of the house and socialize with people like is what re made me rely on my phone and start searching for like not even like searching for like a romantic thing, but just searching for someone to just talk to and like have friends. But unfortunately, with like the world we're in now, you never know who you're talking to, and there's so many people out there with like bad intentions, right? And so that's what kind of just started everything.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Journey Journals podcast. This is episode 5, and I have the beautiful Yuna here. Um, Yuna, do you want to maybe tell everyone how we met?
I think it was at 30-minute hit. Yeah, it was at, I think they were having some kind of event, like at the Port Moody location, and that's how we both got connected.
Yeah,
But I also think that we were also following each other on Instagram because like we had a couple of mutual friends on Instagram too
yeah.
through 30-minute hit and I had saw one of your stories about our bond and one of those like polls
Mm.
about like what you wanted support with.
Oh, okay. I totally
That's what
don't
it
remember
was.
that
And
one.
then I had clicked on one of those polls and then that's when we had like we jumped onto a phone call and then we did that little survey that you
Hmm.
have and that's how we kind of got to know each other a little bit more.
Yeah, and like I feel like your wellness journey, oh, so good. So good. Um, and can you tell everyone a little bit like about you? How old you are, like what you're doing, just like yeah,
So
brief.
right now I'm 19 and I'm working part-time. Well, I basically work full-time and then I'm also a student. I am currently a general studies student, but I had recently just got an acceptance into the youth justice program a couple days ago. So I'm gonna be studying in the youth justice program. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I
Congratulations!
know. So it's really exciting.
Holy moly. Okay, I think we've known each other a little bit over a year.
Yeah.
And like, can you remember like how everything was from the beginning, from when I first met you till now?
I
Like how
know.
much has changed? Isn't that
Even in just
insane?
a year, like so much has changed and like I forget that.
Yeah.
And so like trying to just constantly reflect on like where I am or even where I was just like a couple months ago, like things are so different in a
Yeah.
good way.
In a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I think you're like the youngest person that like I think that I'm gonna have on my podcast for a while. Like I feel like you're so mature for your age, just the way you speak and everything that you've gone through. So yeah, it's amazing. We'll get into that, by the way. Let's start with childhood, like a little bit about your childhood, like where you were born, how you grew up.
So I was born here. I was born and raised in Vancouver, but both my parents immigrated here from my mom's from China, my dad's from Japan. And so I was raised here with my sister and my brother, and most of the part of the childhood I remember was like being in Port Moody because I've been in Port Moody, Tri-Cities area since I was probably about 4. So like this area is kind of like my home, my childhood. And so childhood for me was like quite busy. My parents always kept us busy, with lots of like activities like swimming, kumon, ice skating, piano, soccer, basketball. So every day after school, it was like constantly like getting out, doing activities, lots of driving around, and getting to socialize with other kids, which is just so important.
Yeah. And things kind of changed. I think it was high school. I forget what year it was, but that's when things kind of changed, right?
Yeah, like high school, my first year of high school, grade 9 was during the pandemic. And so school was definitely very different that first year. And then grade 10, everything went back to normal to like semester systems, because grade 9 was like quarter systems. And then I had, I didn't have like a close group of friends either. I find that in high school, it's so hard to make friends unless like you already have your own group of friends that you're from like middle school or like from other places.
Mhm.
Um, and so Um, high school was definitely rough in grade 10, starting in grade 10, and then like the second semester of grade 10, grade 11, grade 12, I wasn't really attending school. Like grade 12, I wasn't in school at all, actually, until I had transferred into an alternative school to finish my grade 12 year.
And when was that?
So I had went to transferred to my alternative school in 2023.
Hmm.
Um, but there was one year that I hadn't attend school because the summer of 2023 I actually ran from home, and everything was just like very rough during that whole entire period. And so and I wasn't in school at all. I was working with my dad full time and just helping out at the office, just to keep me occupied. And then 2024 I had slowly started going back to school again, and then graduated just last summer in 2025. Yeah.
Congratulations. And then now all of this. My
Yeah.
goodness. Would you say that you were close with your parents and your brother and sister growing up?
Growing up, yeah, like we're a very tight-knit family. Family is like very important to us. So growing up, my sister and I, we've shared a room until probably until I was until grade 10. So my sister and I, we've always had our moments, of course, like all siblings do. But it was very nice at night, like where my sister and I will get to like gossip, or we'll just get to like lay in bed and talk about our days and like things like that. Um, my parents and I, we were always close. Um, we always prioritize family and like make sure that we're all spending time together. So every day we'll be having dinner together. That's like a definite must for our family, just because like it's a way to bond with our family. And
Yeah.
then trying to just go out and like have a dinner,
Yeah.
try new restaurants together, like every month. Like it's hard because like it can be expensive with a family of 5, but
Yeah.
we try to make it work and just find ways to spend time all together.
Oh, I love that. Yes, I
Yeah.
know. Family is very important to me too. And it really helps a lot with everything else that's going on outside, you
hmm
know? Um, can you talk about like why you took that year off of school?
So I had took that year off because in 2022 I had a traumatic experience that happened to me. And during that period, we weren't really talk like my fa it was very taboo to talk about it. Like in Japan, China, and our culture, we don't really talk about mental health. Mental health is not really a thing. Like you kind of just tough it out. And so, like my parents were definitely different, and they definitely had adapted differently to better support me. But it was definitely hard because, like, I can't just expect my parents to change in a day. Like it definitely takes time. And so after that, it just became way too much, like, just trying to suppress everything. And I was struggling with PTSD, anxiety, and depression, and substance use and all that kind of stuff. And so I had eventually left home and I was staying with a couple of new friends I had made when I transferred to the alternative school.
Mhm.
And I was staying at their place for like the whole summer. And during that summer, I was like smoking weed, I was vaping, I was drinking. And I was hurting myself. And so it was just a very toxic environment. And I didn't realize it in the moment, but it was quite toxic for my mental health. And but luckily, during that time period, I had met one of my closest friends, like my mentor essentially, Carol, and um she eventually I got a chance to talk to her and meet her, and she very much sympathized with my experience as her daughter went through the exact same thing and unfortunately took her life. And so now Carol's just she's essentially her foundation covers my therapy, and she got me into trauma therapy and family therapy for like my parents and I, so that we can find a way to better communicate with each other, because like it is hard for me to talk about this stuff. And it's hard for my parents because like the daughter that they love so much is like in so much pain, and like it's not easy for them to see me like basically hurting myself, right? Like it's not easy for a parent. And so Carol was constantly just checking in and kind of like helping me, making sure that I was okay. Because during that period, I was very not myself. I had a lot of urges, definitely, to go engage in more harmful substances like opiates and things like that. And so Carol was very much involved in that process, making sure that I'm not going out at night and down to the downtown east side. And because that area I definitely wouldn't have survived. Like Carol and I, we both agree that if I hadn't have met her, I definitely would be on the streets, probably not even here anymore. So I'm very grateful that I had my family and that I had Carol and I had my friends' parents. They were also involved. And over time with more therapy, and my mom eventually ended up going to like a parent group to learn DBT and communication skills, and like better learn about how my brain works. And that definitely helped with my mom and I's relationship. And now like my mom's like my best friend. Like people's like, oh yeah, no, I don't want mom, like mom, you're wrong. But then like as you get older, it's like, oh yeah, mom's right, like mom becomes your
Totally.
best friend.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. Like props, first of all, to Carol and your family. Like be myself being a mom, like it's so hard to navigate, especially because you're the first, right? They
Yeah.
haven't experienced something like this, and the way that they grew up as a child is so different as now.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, props to them for wanting to like get help themselves and help you, and Carol for unfortunately learning from what happened with her daughter, but
Hmm.
that's how we learn, right? Like, and we can help other people is from experience, which
Yeah.
is why I'm so glad that you decided to come on the podcast. Thank you, because
Thank
you
you.
have no idea how many people you can help and who you can help. So
Yeah.
I really, really appreciate it. Can I ask, like, what drove you to like I guess depression during that time? Like is there a certain incident that happened or is it just regular high school pressures life?
Well, I had lost one of my closest friends to suicide.
So that
Yeah,
that started it?
that started it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was rough, but and it was constantly like, oh, what if I could have done this? Like I didn't do that. Like maybe if I was there more, it wouldn't have happened. Like it's very common, and it's very always like, what if? And that's always the hard part, is like, what if I could have done more? And it's a lot of pressure. And so eventually that just drove me down. Like dragged me down. And I started to struggle a lot with suicidal ideation in grade 10, and I stopped going to school. I couldn't get out of bed. Um, and so I eventually had to go to emergency. And then I was put on meds, and then during that whole entire time, that's when like the online stuff started to happen too. It was like when I stopped going to school in grade 10, and like being not being able to, like, just struggling to get out of the house and socialize with people, like, is what re made me rely on my phone and start searching for, like, not even like searching for like a romantic thing, but just searching for someone to just talk to and like have friends. But unfortunately, with like the world we're in now, you never know who you're talking to, and there's so many people out there with like bad intentions, right? And so that's what kind of just started everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for other people that like and parents and kids, like can you walk us through like what happened, like who you're talking to, like where it was, like
hmm
just so they can avoid that?
Yeah. So, essentially, there's like multiple platforms that are like Tinder for kids. People
What? I
like
had
it's
no idea.
no, it's actually a thing. It's crazy. Like people say you have to be 16 to be on it, but no, there's no way to verify your age, right? So it's so easy to say you're 16 when you're 13. And so many pe predators out there are like on those apps, right? Trying to lure kids and try to make friends essentially and try to cause trouble. And so there's apps like Yubo, there's apps like Wink, Wiz, and they're essentially just like Tinder. You see like a profile, a description of the person, and you can swipe yes, no, yes, no, yes, no.
Just to talk to.
People say it's just to talk to, but it's become like a dating app essentially.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the first time I've ever heard about this. I don't know if I'm like living in a wow. Okay. And
Yeah.
then wow.
And so, and then that's when like they lure kids into chatting platforms like Instagram, Snapchat, Discord has become a big thing too, Telegram, things like that. And you know that they start like making a connection, like a friendship, trying to build your trust, getting to know you, and then they eventually start to pick it up, like start asking more explicit questions, start to make turn it into a sexual thing. But people don't think about that. And it's like they're like, oh, they're just being friendly, they're just a friend, and
They care about
it's
me.
they take care about me, and especially they target very specific people who are maybe have like less self-esteem, or people who are lonely, people struggling with depression. So obviously they're gonna want to talk to someone. Like,
Yeah.
I was so depressed that like I was just brainwashed. I was manipulated and coerced into, doing things that I normally wouldn't do. And so eventually they're asking for explicit photos, and then you say no, and then they manipulate saying like, "Oh, I thought you loved me. If you love me, you do this." Like it's a lot of manipulation involved, and they have very specific tactics that they'll use to lure kids, make things that make the victim thinks that they love them and things like that. And once they get those photos of you, they hold them on their phone and they use it to blackmail you.
I'm so
Or
sorry.
either more, with females, it's typically more images, but with men, it's money, is what the statistics are starting to show, and it's very unfortunate. And a lot of kids, they don't realize that there's help out there, and there's so much shame and embarrassment around it and stigma that so many kids are just taking their lives from that, and it's so sad.
Yeah. And unfortunately, like you were saying, Carol's daughter,
Yeah,
you guys don't know the story. You guys can look it up. Her daughter's name is Amanda Todd, and the same thing happened to her. And unfortunately, she couldn't take it, and she didn't, I guess, didn't have a support or was scared to go for support that she ended her life. And I'm glad that that didn't happen to you, Yuna.
yeah.
So, um, so how, like, how far did it get?
Well, it got to the point where like I felt trapped, and so there eventually it got to the point where they said, "Oh, if you don't send more pictures or like this actually no, they said this very specific video that like I'll leak it to your family and like your friends," and they started threatening me. And at that point, like I didn't really care about what would happen to me. I rather just like protect my family. I didn't want them to worry about me. And at that point I thought like, well, my life's already like, shitty and like there's no point anyways, so like whatever. And so I was scared and so I complied. And little did I know that like this video was illegal and I didn't know that. And so a couple months later, in October of 2022, yeah, October 10th, 2022, um, the person had actually came back, probably created a new account, and added me on Snapchat, and it started like any normal conversation, like, "Hey, how are you? How old are you? Where are you from?" And then it started to escalate, and it escalated to the point where they had that video of me, and they said that, "Oh, if you don't comply with what I want you to do, I'm gonna send this video to your family and to the police." And I was like, okay, you do that. And he's like, yeah, you have to know, like, this video is very much illegal. And I looked it up and it was, and I started to freak out. I was home alone that night because it was Thanksgiving. My whole family was out for di family dinner, and I wasn't with them because, like, I didn't want to do anything. So I remember I ended up, like, freaking out, and I went to my parents' bedroom and I was like, calling my family because like my extended family, my uncle and things like that, because like they had screenshots of like my uncle's Facebook, my dad's friend's Facebook, my grandma's Facebook. Um, and it's not hard to find people's addresses anymore. And so unfortunately, and so I ended up calling the non-emergency police line, and they ended up sending an officer to our house. And um it was like late at night. I remember I was like laying in bed. I ended up like telling my parents what happened, and like my parents were like so upset and they were like mad. They didn't mean to blame me, but they were blaming me, and just it was a huge mess. And I remember I was laying in bed, and I guess my parents didn't know I had called the police, and so the police shows up at our door, and they're like, "Oh, is Yuna home, I guess?" And my dad's like running downstairs. My siblings are like freaking out because like an officer's asking for me. And I like jump out of bed and I was like, the fuck is going on? And he's like, oh, we're just here to ask a couple of questions, things like that. And so like we went through that whole entire process, and they're like, okay, well, we're gonna have you come down to the station to take like an official statement. And so a couple of days later, I thought I was supposed to go down to the station, but dad ended up going on the phone with the police officer. And this is the part like I'm not very clear on because I wasn't there for this part, but I guess the police officer had found out the contents of the video, and he was like probably untrained and didn't have the proper knowledge. And so he kind of wanted to like he didn't take my statement and wanted to come after me for the contents of my video. And um, he tried to, say like you need a lawyer, if you need to go to court, your video is going to be played in open court. You know, that can't be true because that's playing child pornography in open court. Like that just like doesn't sound right. But like it didn't click on our heads because like, my parents are freaking out, like I'm freaking out. We're under a lot of pressure. We have no resources. There's no one there to help. Like they didn't give us any support at all. And so my parents are like scrambling, trying to find like a lawyer that can help take on my case and help us. And then eventually, luckily, I guess the officer's superintendent or like supervisor ended up looking into like the whole picture and knew that like I was coerced and like I was forced and I was blackmailed. Like I didn't do it because I wanted to. Like I was forced and did it out of fear. And so they ended up dropping the charges, I guess, and kind of letting it go and closing the file.
They were gonna charge you?
Yeah, they were trying to take me up to court for that.
What?
Yeah.
Charge you for what?
I don't know, the content of the video.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah. And so it was very unfortunate because like it's not the officer's fault. Like he was in a way doing his job, but like that's the thing with like the criminal law is like there's so many different stories, you know what I mean? Like it can't just be black and white. Like it's different if someone did it because like they intentionally did it, but I was coerced and I
Mhm.
did it out of fear. I was blackmailed. That part is illegal, and that officer didn't see that part of the story,
Mhm.
and which is really unfortunate because then that led my family into bad PTSD. Like my parents are traumatized. And obviously, I was traumatized after that incident. I was so scared. I was, every time I went out, I was constantly looking around me and I was constantly shaking. I slept with a knife under my bed. I slept with the lights on because I constantly was so scared that someone's gonna come to my house and hurt me or hurt my family.
Yeah.
And so, eventually, that was 2022, and I kept working with my dad. I was not in school at that time, and that time was like a lot of self-harm was what it is. It was a lot of depression and self-harm and
Shame.
depression
You
and
probably were,
binge eating.
and yeah, you probably were felt guilty, shame, all of
Yeah.
that stuff because you thought it was your fault.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever meet up with those people?
Yes, I did.
Were they your age? Did they say were they who they say they were?
They were. Um, I mean, I think, you never really know, right? And so, um, the summer, like, so the whole police incident happened in October, but the summer prior to that, I had met this one guy, and we'll call him like Daniel. And he was 17, I was 16, so he was like close to my age. We met on actually one of those teen dating apps, and eventually moved to Snap, and then we met in person at a gym, and we worked out, and he ended up taking me out on a walk, and like was very touchy, and like I was so uncomfortable. And the problem with me at that time was because I didn't have the self-confidence, and like I had really low self-esteem. It was like, oh, someone finally loves me, like someone cares about me, and this person says he loves me. This person has like he cares about me finally. And so like a lot of times I didn't have the courage to say no. And so or say please stop doing that, or I'm very uncomfortable with that. And so we would be out in public and he would be like touching me and it was very uncomfortable, and started like touching me in inappropriate ways, and like I was sitting there and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, can you please stop? But like, I'm just trying to sit there and like, I don't even know what to do. And so eventually, like we were together for like maybe like a month. And then eventually, he slept with someone else and we ended it, which like I don't really call that a relationship. And then, that was July, and then August, or no, in September, I met another guy on one of those teen dating apps, and I was 16, he was 20, and there was a couple times where we first met in public, like that was very important to me because like public's like safety still, and then over time things became more sexual, and we were hooking up in place, like in at his place, and like it was a lot of sneaking around, sneaking out at night, and looking back, it's like, what was I even doing? But like I was just so alone and like just in so much pain and just craving that attention and that love, and like I wanted someone to actually care about me and love me, and so I was finding it in unfortunately toxic ways. And then eventually that ended. And then that's when the like a month later, the whole police incident happened.
Um, and then when did you meet Carol and how did that happen?
So after the whole police incident of probably 6, 7 months, it be of like pure depression, PTSD, just like struggling in silence, never talking about it because like my parents are also traumatized. And I didn't want to trigger them. And then June came along, and June was a really rough month because like it was, I don't want to say the word anniversary because anniversary has like a good thing to it, but like trauma anniversary, like a 1 year trauma anniversary. I was sexually assaulted in my bedroom because actually I had met one guy and he had come over, and ultimately I changed my mind and I wanted him to leave, and he didn't leave, and he threw himself on top of me and forced me into doing things that I didn't want to do. And so June was like very triggering to me, where the sound of keys were really triggering to me because that guy, when he came into my bedroom, had put his wallet and his keys down, like his jingling keys.
Mm.
And so for a while, jingling keys were really triggering to me. And so like I couldn't stand it. And so I had ultimately left home. And like I was saying earlier, I was engaging in a lot of substance substances like alcohol, marijuana. I was vaping, eating unhealthily, like constantly door dashing food like Starbucks, McDonald's, A&W, probably like the worst things you can put in your body. And was not sleeping well at all, like constantly staying late up at night and things like that. And going out at night is not the healthiest either. And so it was definitely not a good summer. And so, but luckily, I still think that that summer was a good summer in a way because if I hadn't, I would have never met my friend's mom who connected me to Carol Todd. Like because I had ran away, I had met Carol. So like my family and I, we still try to think about positively about it. But we had met Carol at a park and we all had sat down, and I essentially got a chance to share my story with Carol, and Carol very much sympathized with me, and that's when we kind of came up with like a care plan on how to get me home, how to get me back into school. And so, almost like every single day, Carol would like check in with me, see how I was doing. She got me into trauma therapy, and so she'll be taking me to my counseling appointments, picking me up, dropping me off, taking me out for coffee, things like that, just to check in.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. She's an angel.
she is. She's still my like, she's like my second mom now.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Did she
she.
help like a lot of people go through this? Like I again like I don't know like is there a lot of people going through this and is she helping a lot of people? Obviously, there's some people that we don't even know, like people don't know that this is happening to.
Yeah, no, like I know a couple of people who kind of went through something similar to I have, and Carol has helped. And Carol does a lot of like presentations with like parents with schools because she works at the school board.
Mm.
And so she does a lot of presentations um and raising awareness, and she fundraises does a couple of fundraisers every year, and like she has her auction every year to raise money that will go towards nonprofit organizations. Like this year and last year she had a golf tournament and the money was raised to go towards a Foundry Center, which is like a mental health center for youth, and which is amazing.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so
And I know you spoke at the
yeah,
golf tournament last year, and that was the first time that you got your story out, right?
yeah.
How did that feel?
Oh, that was, I was so nervous because, there's a lot of stigma around this. Like it's so easy to say, "Oh yeah, why didn't you just say no?" Like
Yeah,
why would you want it? Why would you do that to yourself? Why would you do that to people? And like unless you've been through it, you don't know the pain and you don't know how it feels like to be in that situation.
absolutely.
And so there was a lot of fear and nervous, but I was also know that it can do a lot of good, especially if there was someone else out there struggling.
Yeah.
I was also trying to kind of communicate with my dad because my dad's like, "Oh, why would you want to talk about something like that? Like, why would you want to put your story out there, like, for people to judge?" I was like, "Dad, it's gonna, like, it can do good." And so we ultimately went with it, and we were speaking in front of over 200 people, and just like seeing people just sit there and actually listen and feel like heart touched and like people were crying, my sister, my family was crying, other people were crying, I was trying not to cry. But afterwards, hearing that, like everybody like cheer and clap, like it was just, oh, I felt so good. Like I don't know how to describe that feeling because like afterwards, people are like coming up like you did so good. You're so strong for like putting your story out there. There was actually someone else who had gone through the same situation as I did, who also spoke at the golf tournament, and she was like, like it's not easy to go through that. Like it takes a lot of courage to like put yourself out there and actually talk about it. 'Cause like for the longest time, whenever I talked about this, I would be like crying.
Yeah.
And so this is like probably like the third time I've talked about it without like crying. But for like the longest time I couldn't do that.
Yeah. And I want to commend your parents because being in the Asian culture, which I know it's very difficult to speak openly, come out, and
Yeah.
especially have your daughter who you love so much say that out loud. And
Mm-hmm.
so I really commend your parents too because
Thank
it's
you.
so tough,
Yeah.
right? Like, so yeah, and I've met both your parents, they're so
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, but ultimately my dad was very happy and proud that I did it.
Hmm.
Um, he's told me that I had did really well and that I'm gonna do a lot of big things and that I can
You
help a lot
are.
of people.
You
So
are.
actually like doing it had actually changed his mind and he was very happy that I did so. And so was my mom.
Yeah. And you already have. Who,
Yeah.
like, you probably don't even know how many people you've already touched and helped. Um, if you could tell someone or a parent to like what signs to look out for, what would that be?
Probably I think loneliness is like the big thing. Like making sure that people are connected because we're still social animals, right? Like more and more research comes out that like loneliness is like a big thing. Like it kills people inside and in our brains. And so making sure that we're still socializing with people, but then also like, we all have our needs, right? And so like trying to not go online is probably like the best thing and like talking to strangers because as much as like people want to do it, like there's just so many dangers around it and you never know who you're talking to because it's so easy to pretend to be someone else behind a screen. And I always think that parents should be educating themselves so that they can educate their child rather than saying, "Oh, my kid, you cannot do this, you cannot be doing this, you cannot do this." Because, saying no, I find always creates sneaky children.
Hmm.
Like my
Yeah.
parents have constantly said no, like I didn't have that awareness. I was never really taught that kind of stuff and I ended up ultimately sneaking around my parents constantly, unfortunately, and getting into trouble. And so actually being upfront about it and talking about it with your child and making sure like your child knows it's not taboo, making sure your child knows that like they can always come to you and talk to you no matter what. Like you ultimately want them to be honest, you would not be mad. It's just so important.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the biggest thing that you've learned?
Biggest thing I've learned.
Hmm.
Oh God. That I can't trust everyone that I meet because I'm a very trustworthy like I trust everybody
Hmm.
before. And that's how I got into a lot of trouble, right? And how this whole thing happened in the beginning. And so I need to learn how to kind of protect myself more.
Yeah.
and be more confident in myself. Like the amount of confidence that I've grown in the last year is huge.
Mm.
And so like just trying to, understand other people and help other people too.
Yeah. So what now? Like, what do you want to do? Like, after all of this, I know you probably, there's times where it constantly comes up and you feel a certain way, like, every day is different, but like,
Hmm.
what do you want to do? Like, what do you see for your future?
So right now I will be going through like the youth justice program, and then that program is like 2 years. And then I would want probably I'm thinking to transfer to Royal Roads in Victoria.
Mm,
They have a bachelor's degree program on justice studies, because this is only a 2 year program, so it's an associate's degree.
mhm,
And so I'll be getting my bachelor's, and then after that, probably working more so with like the youth and helping youth access supports during like the court systems, because like when I was going through all that, like trying to find lawyers and trying to find resources, I didn't know there was any support. And nobody knows how lonely that is or how scary that is until you go through that. And so, being able to help other people through that process and also know how they possibly could feel,
mm,
because I had also gone through it, I know possibly could help a lot of people. But also that like could be one path. And then I was also thinking about more community type outreach with at-risk youth. Will also be a possibility, but that type of field, that kind of work is just, it's hard mentally.
yeah.
Like you gotta really make sure you had a good head on your shoulders,
Mm,
because it's so easy to have like a bad day and then, have that affect you.
yeah.
And so I'm still kind of trying to figure out what I want to do, because I also want to make sure that I'm not affecting my mental health, because in the future I do want to have kids and like my own family, and I just want to make sure I have a good head on my shoulders for like my kids too, because I don't want to be, in a situation where something happens and I go into a depressive state and then I can't really take care of my kids and be there for my children. It's not fair to them.
Yeah, for sure. Wow. Look at Look at all of this. That's
I know.
amazing. Are you proud of yourself? I hope you are, because I'm
I'm
so proud of you.
so happy.
Yeah,
I
like
literally
it's just
went,
been a year and all of the changes.
I
Like,
know.
what? Um, if you could say something to someone that's going through something similar right now, what would you say?
Probably that they're not alone, and that there is help, and there's hope that things could get better, because for the longest time I never thought that there was a way out. I never thought I was gonna get out of it. I was like, people say they get out of it. I was like, no, there's no way. But there is a way. There's always help out there. And people say the hardest part is like kind of like going through that mental health journey, but I personally think the hardest part is asking for help and actually going to get help. That part is just so hard. There's different cultures have like a lot of stigma, especially like for men, there's more stigma than there is with women. And so actually getting out there and asking for help and admitting that you're struggling is hard. But once you're able to do that and you're able to get the support from other people to do that, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. I also think surrounding yourself with the right people,
Oh, yeah,
communities.
so
I know
important.
HIT has helped you a lot. I know it helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that as well. Can I ask you, we always do like these five like questions at the end.
Hmm.
I'm just gonna ask you because yeah. So let me get that. But in the meantime, is there anything that you wanted to say that you didn't get to say?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah. And how's your family now? Like, how's your parents, you and your family?
We're doing really well. Things were a little bit rough with like my dad and I, but I started working with my dad, and that has brought me and my dad really close.
Yeah.
So like my dad and I were really, really close. My mom and I, we've been close for a while, and our family, like despite everything that we've gone through, it's brought us a lot closer.
Yeah.
And it's brought a lot of more awareness like with my family, and it sets up a foundation for like my siblings too.
Mm.
Like as much as like it sucked going through all of it, if like something were to happen to one of my siblings, it's like they know how to access support.
So, well, first of all, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for like telling everyone and you have no idea how many people you're probably going to help and the courage it takes to do this. So, thank you. Um, okay, question number one. These are just like random questions not related, okay?
Okay.
If you were a superhero or could have like an ability, what would it be?
Teleportation.
Ah, where would you teleport to?
I want to go back to Japan.
So
And
just to
I just want to
travel.
teleport all over the world and just be able to see the whole world and like the different cultures and things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. What is your favorite snack that you can't live without?
Ice cream.
What flavor?
Strawberry.
Really?
Yeah, I'm very basic.
Um, okay. If you could take one Arbonne product with you on an island, what would it be?
Fizz sticks.
What flavor?
I've only tried four of them or like a few of them, but I really like the what is it? The blood orange.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Um, would it be okay if people reached out to you and if they were going through the same thing or if they had questions, like, would
Yeah.
that be okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Okay. What's the best way to reach you?
Probably Instagram.
Okay. What's your handle? And I'll put it on the show notes as well.
Oh, I actually have to figure that out.
I know.
It's been a
Sometimes like I'm
while.
like, what? Because you always look at other people's, you don't look at your own. So,
Yeah. So it's YU and then underscore Emily 00.
okay. So if you guys need to reach out to Yuna, if you guys have any questions, if you think that your kid's going through this, if you're going through something like this, please reach out to Yuna. Um, yeah, thank you so much. Are you sure there's nothing else you wanted to say that you didn't get to say?
Well, thank you, Anna, for this opportunity. Because, I think getting like that time I had gone to the gym with you for the first time,
Yeah.
that was what really started my healing journey. And just getting out there, going to hit with you, getting to know all the girls at like the Port Moody location, and just getting out there, meeting them, and then getting to make more friends is what started my healing process, really. And trying all the Arbonne products were really helping, and going to HIT was really helping build my confidence and helping with my mental health too.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for hanging out with me. Like I'm like more than twice your age. So thank you.
No, you're like 20.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
And AJ loves you. So
Oh, he's so cute.
I know he hasn't seen you in a long time.
Yeah.
So we got to make that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much again for being on here, and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for your story. Thank you for sharing it. Only good things from here, and I can't wait to see what is like on the horizon for you. Who knows, you guys, she might be back on. We can share more about what's going through her life. But yeah, thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Anna, for the opportunity again. I
Yeah, of course.
really appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, chat soon. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you guys for watching. I will put on the show notes Yuna's details if you want to reach her. Yeah, that's it. Have a great day.